Good evening. I'm going to get started so I can get you guys home. If you're like me, you're hungry. So my name is Jan Pippin, representing track and field here tonight. First I want to say thank you for coming. I know traffic is terrible getting anywhere in Nashville, and you've all got lots of places to be. So thank you for taking the time to come out. Hopefully I can give you some information that'll make the spring be a little bit smoother for you and help you know how to help your sons as we go through the season. I want to just give you a rundown of the coaches that'll be on our staff this spring. A couple of them are here. This is Will Nairmore. Will works sprinters and jumpers. And Coach Pruitt's over here. He knows more about track than all the rest of us put together. So happy to still have him around and coaching. Mary Angel and Dion Kufer will coach our throwers. Mary works in the Alumni Development Office, and she was a college thrower and threw in the Olympic trials, so we were thrilled to have her on our staff. Dion threw here and then played football in college, but together they make a great team. So the rest of the staff is Wynn Bassett, Dr. Cirillo, Brad Perry, Roderick Russ, Chris Sanders, and then Brad Perry's son, Knox Perry, is an off-campus coach, but he's our vault coach. So we're happy to have him. And then we have a meet management team of Bill Compton, Dr. Bray, and Jonathan Kramer. So they help us run all the track meets and score and all that stuff. So if I don't answer your question, you can feel free to ask me at the end or call me or email me later if you're not comfortable asking it here. But I'm going to do my best to give you all the information that I think you need to get started. The first thing that we emphasize with the boys is commitment. That's daily commitment to themselves, to their team, and then a commitment to all of our meet dates. So we talk a lot about responsibility and taking care of each other. When they are going to miss practice, if they are at school but they sign out early or they need to leave at the end of the day for an appointment, they need to let us know that before. I take really seriously the responsibility of them. Their safety after school is my responsibility. And so it's my responsibility to know where they are and know that they're safe and healthy. And so if they don't come to practice and I don't know where they are, I have to take the time away from the rest of the team to find out where they are and make sure that they're safe. So that's a big deal with me. There are 96 boys on the track roster right now. So that's a huge responsibility. So if your son needs to leave school early or has an appointment after school, please make sure that they communicate that to us so that I'm not looking for them when I have 95 more on the track waiting. So that's something that's important to us. Okay. If we have an all-day track meet that we host here on April 13th, that's an ACT date. If there's any way possible, if your son's an ACT person, if there's any way possible they can take the ACT here at school the day that it's offered here instead of on the 13th, that would be amazing. Because the boys that are not competing in that track meet will help us run that track meet, and it takes all of us to make it go. There'll be 18 teams here that day. Track will be full, and so we that's kind of an all hands on deck kind of thing. So if you're able to reschedule that ACT to the school day, that'd be awesome. We stress consistency with them. We tell them all the time that, Coach Sanders used the analogy the other day, if you put cheap gas in your car, it doesn't go. So he was talking to them about what they put in their bodies. And then we talked about making deposits in the bank. And so every day they need to make a deposit. Track and field is something you can develop into being good at, but it takes a consistent training schedule. And so you can't have one good day and then 3 bad days and then one good day and expect the result to be what you want it to be at the end. So we encourage them every day. Just yesterday, the sprinters ran 5 300s, and Will and I recorded their times and put them on a spreadsheet. And that's going to go up in the locker room tomorrow. And then 2 weeks from now, when we run this same workout, we'll record their times again, and they can compare their times from one workout to the next. And something that's great about track and field is that you can set some personal goals with things like this. They know that these are the times they ran yesterday, so they know that the next time they have some concrete data to compare themselves and see some personal growth. And so we encourage that with them. We celebrate when they perform a personal best at a track meet. We celebrate it at practice the next day. And that we have them set all kinds of goals. It can be some kind of a technique goal that they're trying to correct in their throwing technique or their jumping technique. It can be hitting a split at a certain time in the middle of a race, but not necessarily finishing the race at a goal time. So we set all kinds of goals, and then we celebrate those goals and those personal bests at practice. We practice every day. We are almost always finished by 5:30. Sometimes we're done even earlier than 5:30. If you have a son who's in a technique event, one of the throws, one of the jumps, if we have a really warm, sunny day, they might stay out there a little longer and take advantage of the weather. But we're almost always done by 5:30. We've been reminding them already that when we go in the weight room, they're supposed to either have on MBA gear or something plain. So if you can help us with that from home, that'd be great. We are going to give them a short sleeve t-shirt, and the first and third year they're on the team, they're going to get a long sleeve hoodie. They'll have a jersey to compete in and shorts to compete in. The shorts are theirs to keep. The jersey they have to turn back in at the end of the season. If they want or need more gear that says MBA track and field on it, there's a store opening tomorrow morning. You're more than welcome to buy anything you want out of that store. I'll send you a link. If you have no desire, then hit delete. But that'll open tomorrow morning. It'll run about a week, and hopefully that gear will come pretty quick after spring break. If you have a son who is, again, one of those technique people or a sprinter, and you think that they're going to need spikes or some kind of specialty shoes, now is the time to be shopping for those specialty shoes. We get on into the spring and everybody sells out and they're all on back order. We went through that last year with some people and almost never found shoes. So if your son needs new racing shoes, if you're not sure about that, you can talk to one of us, talk to one of the other coaches. But now would be the time to be shopping for those shoes, because if you wait till it warms up outside, you're going to have a hard time finding a very wide variety of sizes with those shoes. If you've never been to a track meet, almost all of our track meets are here. We start pretty quick after school with our field events, and then we move into the running events about 4:30 in the afternoon. So all the field events will be going on at the same time. So there's a lot of activity on the track at the same time. And then obviously that kind of winds down, and then we run our races after that. Our goal is usually to be done with our track meets here. We race the sun coming down. So we try to be done before dark. We're usually successful at that. So all of the boys race here. Like I said, there are 96 on the roster right now. They will all race at the weekly meets here at school. So the cool thing about that is they can, again, set some goals, and then they get, their throws and jumps get measured, and their races get timed. And so you don't have to be the best one on the team to get some feedback every week to see where you are and how you're improving, and then setting new goals. So the great thing about that is that again, the next day we'll celebrate whatever good has happened with all of them, and they don't have to be the star to get that kind of attention. I try to send out a lineup so you'll know what events your sons are in. Sometimes I get really busy and that slips my mind, but I try to do that every week before the meet so that you can see the events your sons are in. The rules for track and field are that they can't do more than 4 events. If I ever send it out and they're in more than 4, please don't hesitate to email me and say, my son's name is on here 6 times. The same thing is true if they're not on there at all. That's probably also a mistake. So if I send one out and you don't see your son's name at all, please email me and say, I don't see my son's name on here, because with 96, we're going to make mistakes. We just are. So please, please, please don't just assume that that's correct. That happened once last year. A boy didn't run anything, and then he said, well, it wasn't on the list. And the meet was over when I figured that out. So don't let that happen, please. I'm pretty good about communicating by email. I won't blow your text up the way I did today. That's a great perk that Mr. Trumbull is helping us with, but I will use that for like last minute things that you may not see in an email that have to come out quickly. I'm going to mainly use that to communicate with the boys because that's the language they speak. But I did want you to know that that's possible. So if you didn't get a text or an email from me today, please let me know that so I can get you on those lists. They're going to come home sore no matter what kind of shape they're in coming from their other sports. Every time you change sports and you do different activities and you use different muscle groups, you're going to be sore when you change sports. So there's a difference between soreness and injuries. If you're not sure which it is, again, don't hesitate to reach out to one of us or our athletic trainers that are amazing. Soreness is okay. Obviously, injury is not. But we're pretty good about evaluating that and coming up with a plan. If your son sustains an injury, and please don't get mad at me if you're a pediatrician, if your son sustains an injury, please try to take them to a sports doctor if you're able and not their pediatrician. Oftentimes, pediatricians are going to say, oh, well, let's just rest for 6 weeks. And I love my pediatrician, but we can't rest for 6 weeks. So a sports doctor is going to be more aggressive about getting them back on the track as quickly as possible and helping them recover, like have some active recovery. So, but again, if you're not sure about that, our trainers are great at evaluating. There's a new transportation policy coming out right now from the school. The track coaches are a little bit unsure what we're going to do about that. So we're going to talk a little bit more, and then you'll be hearing from me about the transportation policy because the whole school's transportation policy is about to change. So as soon as I figure out what we're going to do, I will let you know about that. Ways you can help. You can help by being there. Even if they say, oh, please don't come, you can help by being there. It matters to them. So come and support them anytime that you can. When you take them home after practice, please make them take a shower before they eat dinner and start their homework. Make them get clean. They'll stay healthy if they go home and get out of their sweaty clothes into something dry and clean. Homework will go better, dinner will taste better, and they will stay healthy. So please make them get in the shower. If any of them are struggling at all with their grades, that matters. We tell them all the time when we talk with the juniors, the very first thing a college coach is going to ask is not how fast are they or how high can they jump. They ask us, what are their grades? No college coach wants any athlete, is not going to talk to any athlete who can't be successful academically. Same's true of us. If they're academically ineligible, then they are not helping us. So we're gonna try to stay on them about that, and so that we can rely on them. Shoes. We've already been talking to them about shoes. The exterior of a shoe can look perfectly fine, but the support system in the shoe breaks down. So a good rule of thumb for training shoes is a new pair of shoes each season. If your son is in shoes that the support system is breaking down, they can have knee pain and shin pain and ankle pain, and that's something we can control. So if they haven't gotten a new pair of training shoes in a while, it might be time for new shoes before they start. Again, we ask for them, the sprinters and throwers have to report every day in full gear. We warm up in pants and a long sleeve shirt. After we warm up, if it's warm enough, we start to shed clothes. So that's something they need every day. We tell them to pack a hat and gloves. If we don't need it, great, but you can't create it if you don't have it. So we tell them right now that they should have a hat and gloves in their bag, cold gear, rain gear, and then they're prepared. We do go out and run in the rain, and then we come in and lift in the weight room. So if they go and run in the rain and they get wet and they don't have dry clothes, they go into the weight room wet. So we keep stressing to them to be prepared for all of that. And but any help you can give us with that would be great. We encourage them to eat properly as much as we can. I'm bringing in a nutritionist on February 27th. So we'll come into this room after school that day. I've asked her to talk about what their plate should look like on a race day, what their plate should look like on a training day, how those differ from each other, how much protein they need to eat if they're trying to maintain their football size while they're running, what they need to do if they're trying to cut weight because they're done with football. I've asked her to talk a little bit about the effects of sleep and the lack of sleep on their performances and hydration. I think she's going to touch a little bit on alcohol and drugs and what that does to your performance, but that's all on February 27th. So right after we start practice, we're going to bring her in to do that. But anything you can do to encourage them with healthy snacks and lots of water, be great. I know this is a joke, but if they can get enough rest, that'd be awesome too. We know they don't sleep enough, but if you can encourage them to start trying to take care of themselves, they will perform better. There are a couple things that I need like parents to step into roles. At the scrimmage, and we're going to give you a schedule in a minute. At the end of the scrimmage, we have a little tailgate party. That's the week of spring break, so the boys are already checked out anyway, so it's a good time to keep them at school a little bit longer because they're not going to do any homework when they get home. But we're going to have a tailgate. It's a good bonding for the parents and the athletes at the end of that track meet. And it would be great if one person would step up and just coordinate that. You can do sign-up genies to get people to bring food and grill and stuff like that. But if somebody is willing, if that's a talent of yours and you're interested in that, it'd be great for one person to take over that. And then at our meets that we're at for a long time, we've had, the last 2 or 3 years, we've had parents that would make sure there's food under our team tents for the boys that are there all day. So the last couple of years, one mom said that she would manage that, and then she solicited help from lots of other people to make sure there was food. So those meets are the Scott Herman relays that we run out at Brentwood. It's a 2-day meet. And then Doug Hall is here all day one Saturday. And then the 2 days of the region prelims, and then dinner before region finals. So there are 4 or 5 dates and I'm just talking about, half sandwiches, cut up oranges, power bars, extra drinks, things like that. So if that's something you're interested in doing as kind of a team parent, that's a need we have. And then at the end of the season, the last couple of years, instead of having another banquet in the dining hall when school is out and the boys don't want to do another banquet in the dining hall, we've been having a picnic at the end of the year to just celebrate the end of our season. And we've been doing that at somebody's house. I brought Stroud's barbecue in. We did it last year at somebody's house that had a pool. So the boys swam and played spike ball and we ate. And it was just a good end to the season without having a big formal thing here at school because it's so late in the year and they're ready to be done. So if you have a house that can host something like that and you're interested in that, that's another way that you could help. And the only other thing is if there's any way you can schedule haircuts and tux fittings and things like that after practice, that would sure help us. It gets a little frustrating when we're trying to do relay handoffs and 2 boys off our relay are gone to get their tux. So that's a little hard. So if you can plan around us, that'd be great. If not, a little bit of forward communication would also help us plan our practices a little bit better. Coach Pruitt, what did I forget?
And we want to thank you for letting us work with your labs. It's a lot of fun. It really is. Hope it's fun for them too.
Did I forget anything I need to say?
Going to do the complete day where they can go by specific discount rate or potentials for complete feet.
Roderick Russ is working with Fleet Feet. It's an athletic store, and they may have a night where you can take your son and buy discounted spikes at Fleet Feet. He's going to coordinate that. If he gets it set up, I'll send you the date and all the information. So that might be a possibility if your son needs shoes. He's working on that. I'm trying to delegate. But I'll send all that out in an email. Does anybody have a question that I didn't talk about? Yes, I'm going to give you a schedule before you leave. And I'm also going to email it. Anybody got another question? No? Yes, sir.
You said something about spring break, and you said there's going to be no scrimmage during spring break?
No, right before spring break. The week of spring break, we'll scrimmage, and then I'll send them. We'll send them with workouts for spring break, usually that they can do wherever they are. And then when we get back from spring break, we're in our season. So yeah. Anything else? All right. Well, what do you wanna? Thank you for coming. Again, don't hesitate to call or email if you have a question you didn't want to ask tonight, or if you think of something later. And let's go run fast, throw far.